The generous poll promises made by the Congress party in Karnataka has certainly worked in its favour, but now it's time to count the cost for the Karnataka exchequer. And it isn't just about Karnataka. Given that the poll promises have worked, the temptation may be for Congress and other parties to follow the same formula. But are parties cognizant of the cost of their promises and the state of state finances? Today I have with me one member of the Congress, Professor Rajeev Gowda, the party's national spokesperson and chairperson of the Congress Research Department. In a bit, I'll also be joined by Mr. Sushil Mody of the BJP. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get them together. Professor Gowda, first, thank you for joining us. First, have you all calculated the cost of the poll promises? 2,000 rupees for every woman in each household, free power, 200 units, 10 kilos of food grains. What's the bill?
We've looked at 2,000 per month to women women in households. There are about 1.3 crore households in Karnataka. So it works out to 24,000 per year, about 31,200 crores. Graha Jyoti, which is the, in some sense, revenue foregone. You're not charging people for 200 units of electricity a month. A lot of people actually only use about 50 to 70 units. So the overall cost of that would be about 5,000 crores. Anna Bhagya is a continuation of a program that we had launched during the Siddaramaiah government, where we were providing rice to families at a low, very, very low cost. And now we're talking about 10 kgs. So if you take 1 crore families below the poverty line, average 2.5 people, 10 kgs of grain. So basically about 4,500 crores there. Now, the unemployment benefits.
Yes.
There are about 5 lakh unemployed youth, according to the CMIE data. Now, you must remember that this is, in fact, it's even worse because unemployment measures those who are looking for a job. Actually, if you look at what's happened in Karnataka over the last few years, you've seen the labor force participation rate drop from 50% to 38%. People are so discouraged, they're not even trying, they're not even looking. And so we really have to do something like this to help people, graduates and diploma holders and others, to pick themselves up and find a job. And so that's about, say about 27,000 rupees per for about 500 crore people, not even 500 crore, 0.05 crore people, so about 1,350 crores. And then free bus travel in public transport for women. If you say 27 rupees per passenger, about 25 lakh passengers per day across all road transport corporations, you're probably looking at about 2,500 crores. So everything works out to a total of about 45,000 crores. Now, before you ask me further questions, let me remind you about something called Keynesian economics, where we put money in the hands of people when they're hurting. That ends up creating a multiplier impact when they spend that money, and that generates growth in the economy. And Karnataka has always been a fairly high growth economy. I think we've also managed our fiscal resources very carefully over time.
The last budget, the FY24 budget, was actually a revenue surplus of about 400 crores. But the fiscal deficit is a little over 60,000 crores, and that's 2.6% of the GSDP of Karnataka. Now, will you not cross that 3% Lakshman Rekha with this added 45,000 crore?
Yes, we will get very, very close to doing that. There are ways of managing, I'm sure. But the basic point is these are all measures that are absolutely necessary. These are, you said we are being very generous in our promises. We are being empathetic. We are paying attention to people's pain, and we are working to alleviate that pain.
No, I take your point, sir. I mean, nobody can argue against empathy. But the point is, you can only serve what is there in the pan. And hence the question, Karnataka is actually the richest large state. I mean, if you exclude Delhi, Chandigarh, Sikkim, Goa, in terms of large states, it is the richest state. The per capita income of Karnataka is 71% higher than the average per capita income of the country. If you go with this kind of promise platform in Karnataka, should we expect that Congress would be even more generous in Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, who are also going to the polls in a few months? And there, the per capita income is lower than the national per capita income. Should we see a, block copy over there? Copy paste.
So if you recall, we had come up with a program called Nyai, for the bottom 20% of the nation's families. We had proposed to give them 72,000 rupees per year, 6,000 rupees per month. And that we were not able to implement because we did not come to office in 2019. But these are all, in some sense, reflecting the spirit of Nyai, the spirit of inclusion that we want to emphasize. And so we reject the term freebie. We think of these as investments in our people's all-round health and welfare. You probably will see similar programs attuned to the realities of each state and their own fiscal bandwidth as well.
I come back to the point that we can, we have to cut the shirt according to the cloth we have. And in Rajasthan and other states, there is also the preference for the old pension scheme. That would bring its own expenses in the years to come, if not immediately. IRDA has clearly said they are not going to release the money that's already been put in the new pension scheme, which means, okay, you may get some relief now, but that expense will also come in. And plus these expenses, there are power problems for the MP state and Rajasthan. At least Karnataka doesn't have those problems. You can only do that much in a 3% fiscal deficit. So do you think that you are endangering the fisc in the states?
I wouldn't really think so. I think in Karnataka, we are, cutting our suit according to the cloth that we have, and our estimate of how much cloth we think we will be having. We are also confident that some of these measures, for example, if we can generate growth, partly through this Keynesian infusion of resources in every family's home. Just imagine if the rural economy picks up, the rural demand picks up. The kind of benefit that will provide to FMCG companies, to two-wheeler manufacturers, whole bunch of things like that. And the kind of job creation, if we are able to turn around, then the unemployment benefit will be phased out. You won't need to spend on that. If we generate through public, private, and other innovative measures, more energy projects. We are already an energy surplus state. We did, under D.K. Shivkumar, when he was energy minister, we launched this mega solar project without acquiring land through partnerships with farmers. So we have ways of doing more, which will ensure that some of these issues will not really bother us. Okay. We will be able to implement. And then if you look at administrative convenience, this whole business, Mr. Bommai said that he had also announced free bus travel for working women and students. Well, that would have entailed going and getting passes and a whole bunch of other things. Now it is very simple. Okay. We also need administrative simplicity, right?
Yeah, that's very considerate, Professor Gowda, but I'm not sure it's affordable. But thank you very much for your quick word. We have to take a break, and thereafter, Mr. Sushil Mody, the Rajya Sabha MP and former Deputy Chief Minister of Bihar, senior BJP leader, joins us. Welcome back. We are discussing the success of the Congress's poll promises in Karnataka, what it means for the forthcoming state elections and central election, and more importantly for state finances and central finances. I'm joined by senior BJP leader Mr. Sushil Mody, he's Rajya Sabha MP, former Deputy Chief Minister of Bihar, and most important for this conversation, former chairman of the Empowered Committee of State Finance Ministers at the GST Council. Mr. Mody, thank you very much, sir, for finding time for me. Well, first up, your assessment of these Congress promises. Do you think it was the poll promises that brought home the bacon, or do you think we shouldn't worry so much, this won't become an epidemic?
No, I don't think that poll promises, and like this promises of 5 guarantee, they have played a bigger role or a very important role in the results in Karnataka. So I don't think so.
Okay.
They may have played a minor role, but that can't tilt the balance in favor of Congress.
Okay.
Because see, people don't believe these promises. But what is happening? One party announces some freebies like this. So in this competitive politics, the other party is also compelled to announce these kind of freebies. So I've seen even in Tamil Nadu, when Jalita was in power, she announced and she could not come into power again.
Yeah.
So it is not necessary, even if you find in the last elections of many of the states, we'll find that whatever was promised in Gujarat, the Aam Aadmi Party promised like anything, like giving heaven to the, bringing about heaven on ground, but they could not garner much support. So I don't think these promises cut much ice in the elections.
Okay. Oh,
So I don't think that this has played a very important role in bringing about Congress in Karnataka.
Okay. No, I agree with you, sir. There were some outlandish promises I saw from the Congress in the UP election, where clearly they never stood a chance. I think some lax in terms of medical bill is what they were promising. But this, if you looked at the elections, previous UP or, Telangana elections, Tamil Nadu elections, as you refer to, free power, free grains, and a basic income to everybody. That's kind of becoming the norm. I mean, even the central government's Kisan Samman Nidhi is to some extent a basic income. The Telangana promise was similar. Now the Congress promise in Karnataka is 2,000 rupees to every woman, plus grains and power. You think this formula now will be applied in all states in the forthcoming elections?
No, see, I can't promise or I can't give a guarantee that it will be it in the other elections also. The political parties will announce similar announcements.
Okay.
But see, one thing is clear, that they're providing food grain. Even the central government is providing food grain.
Yes.
But it can't be forever.
Yes.
It can be for a limited period, about 1 year, 6 months, 12 months. That can be, you can announce. But if you are announcing free grains for a lifelong, I don't think it is good. But see, what is happening, it is not the question of what is bad, what is good. And it is very difficult to demarcate between what is freebie and what is what you call announcements for welfare of the people. It has become very thin line to demarcate between these two things.
Okay,
and see, now BJP is also being compelled. We didn't want it to go for this kind of freebies. But our state government says also to announce in Madhya Pradesh. They've also announced in Karnataka. BJP also announced that three free cylinders will be given to each and every household. So now this kind of competitive politics, it will ruin the economy of the state governments because it is unsustainable. Like the old pension scheme.
Yes.
All these things are unsustainable. And this all started with the Aam Aadmi Party because of cheap politics and to anyhow to come into power, they are promising moon to the public.
Yeah.
And to some extent, and I know that in a state like Chhattisgarh, they announced that they will give 500 rupees, or I don't remember, 515 rupees over as a bonus for the Kisan, for the paddy procurement. And it worked wonder.
Yes.
But see, these promises work wonder if there is a strong anti-incumbency, if the incumbent government is not very popular.
Yes.
So all these things play a role. No doubt it plays a role. But it is not good for the economy and it is not good for the country that each and every party is going for this kind of freebies and promising moon to the electorate during elections.
Okay. Well, sir, as you started off, it was, I thought, a very important observation you made, that how do you define a freebie? It is becoming a very thin line. Jayalalitha had started the midday meal scheme back in the late 80s and 90s. It became a national program after first being condemned. Maharashtra was the first to announce employment guarantee, and then that was in the 60s and 70s, and then it became a national program. So some of these are pilots in the states and they actually get taken over. So should we tar everything with the same brush, especially when, At least in the midday meal scheme, Karnataka could pay for it. The state had the finances. So should we be a little legit about it and not tar everything with the same brush?
Now, see, what you said is correct. When the midday meal scheme was launched in Tamil Nadu, it was not cherished by the politicians. And now it has become a necessity, it has become a mandatory. And because of midday meal schemes, the students are at least coming to the school because they are getting food, they are getting lunch, free lunch. And because of that, the enrollment and the admission the school increase like anything.
Yeah.
So to some extent it is required. But the kind of politics that is taking place in India, like this old pension scheme, earlier this is the same Congress party which implemented this new pension scheme when Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister of this country and Chidambaram was there.
Yes.
And now the same party which implemented now this is going back to the old pension scheme. And so people, if you promise anything free, everybody is ready to take, even if they're if they don't need it, and it becomes very, very difficult not to universalize. But I think it is not good like free bus. Why it is required free bus? You give concession to women, you give concession to handicapped or the old people. I can understand that, but providing a free bus ride, it is not a necessity. Free medical aid, I can understand. Free food, I can understand. But why free electricity?
Yes.
We should charge something each and every state. I am from Bihar. We were also providing subsidized electricity.
Yes.
But if you don't provide subsidized items and you give it free, then what is happening in Punjab? The water level has gone down.
Yes.
For the last 8 or 10 years, they were providing free electricity. Now, what has happened to the water level in Punjab?
Absolutely.
So it will affect not only the economy, it will also affect the environment.
Yes.
Now, because it is free electricity, they are using more and more electricity to take water
from deeper and deeper levels.
Down for deeper and deeper levels.
No, that
so
point
these
is
are
taken.
the issues.
But do you expect now, therefore, both central and state finances to get a big knock? As it is, the central finances are 6.4% fiscal deficit. It's a fairly serious number. Now with the central election coming in, do you see both state and center finances in a difficult situation? I say center more because there it is 6.4 deficit. At least in the states, it is capped at 3%.
No, but the central government is, say, during pandemic, it was about 8 to 9%. Now it is coming down.
Yes.
And they have also announced this budget trajectory, how in the next 3 years it will come down from 6% to lesser number. So central government is also, and in the last budget you have seen, whatever there were off-budget borrowings, that were all, everything was cleared, like Food Corporation of India, like NHI taking loan, and all these things were cleared. See, in the states, I think how to check this, these freebies, what the states are doing. I have an idea in my mind. They see the states can't borrow without taking permission from the union
center.
government.
Yes.
There is an article in Constitution 293, which says that each and every state government can only raise market borrowing or can raise the loan with the permission of the union government.
Yes.
And at the beginning of the budget, the union government provides the figure to each and every state government, keeping in mind the recommendation of the Finance Commission, how much loan states can take.
Yes.
So if it is strictly adhered to, and see there is another provision 293, which says that the union government can put conditions also for those raising loan. So if using 293.3, if the union government put a condition that yes, you can take loan up to 3% of GSDP, but that loan can't be used for, you can prescribe which are the items on which these loans can be used. It can be used 60% for capital expenditure, 30% for such and such purpose. No, so this is one thing by which you can contain the state governments announcing this.
So I am not terribly impressed that the center has been all that more careful than the states. I've got data here only from FY16 because that's all I could fit in. But I can go back all the way from 2000. the centre has been actually way more flouting fiscal discipline than the states. The states' interest paid as a percentage of their revenue receipts is around 12 to 14%. The centre's has perennially been 35 to 40% of their revenue receipts that goes as interest payments. Likewise, if you look at the outstanding total debt, net liabilities, this is a status paper put out by the central government in mid-2022. So it has data only till 21. The total central outstanding debt is 59% of GDP. The centre's total outstanding is, the states is 28%. And if I go back in time, this FY16, centre's is 47% percent of GDP outstanding debt. States, total of all states is 21% of GDP. So, I mean, is the centre losing its moral stance to point a finger at the states?
No, I don't think the centre is losing its moral stand. Say, the 15th Finance Commission has recommended 60% of GSDP, 40% for the centre and 20% for the states. And the centre is, because the centre is a more responsibility looking after defense also. Then there was a border tension, then there was a pandemic. So the centre is also, its fiscal deficit is also coming down. And they have chalked out a trajectory that in the coming 3 years, how it will be, the numbers will come down. So the centre is also trying its best. And because centre is a much more of a bigger responsibility because of defense, because of the foreign affairs, because of communication and other things. And you can't say that central government is spending money like announcing freebies and giving freebies to the public. But in states, I don't say that all the states. It are some of the states, like for Andhra Pradesh, like Telangana, there was off-budget borrowing. Off-budget borrowing means your borrowing is not reflected in the budget.
Yes.
It escapes the 3% of GSDP.
Yes.
Now, in the last 2 years, central government has clamped down that no state can borrow, and if some state there is off-budget borrowing, it will be adjusted with the loan they will take in the coming years. So by checking this off-budget borrowing, then putting condition, I think to a great extent we will be able to contain this politics of freebies. So you will have to suffer. Like I was reading in the newspapers, that is this Karnataka promises that will entail about 40,000 to 65,000 crore.
Yes.
Which is about 15% or 20% of their GSDP. These figures. So how the Karnataka is going to sustain? And see the states like Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, Kerala, they are getting a revenue deficit grant. At least Karnataka was a revenue surplus state.
Yes, it was a revenue surplus.
These states are revenue deficit state. On the one hand, you are distributing your money to the people like anything, and you are getting from Finance Commission as a revenue deficit grant. So in Bihar, when I was finance minister, in not a single year, we were revenue deficit. We were always revenue surplus.
Okay.
So we were penalized. We were not getting revenue deficit grants.
So,
and those states like Andhra, Telangana, Kerala, Bengal, they were getting more than 180,000 crore as a revenue deficit grant. So now the central government will have to take a call on these things. And this 293.3, then this off-budget borrowing. So all these things, they will have to also take care of all this.
I'm unfortunately out of time, sir, but I am less beholden to the way the central governments in the past 5-6 decades have behaved. The revenue deficit was first shown, the path was shown by central government. 10 years later, only state governments reported revenue deficits. And I think the way in which the cess has been designed by the central government, now it's almost 28% of the total gross tax revenues. I think the states also have a legit complaint, but we are out of time. Thank you very much, sir, in any case, for your perspective and for the confidence you give me that poll promises don't win mandates. There are a whole host of other things that gives me hope. Thank you very much for joining me, sir.